Hi folks, Ben here at Lancasters. It is now Friday the 27th of March 2020 and I wanted to talk to you today about the new government document that was released last night, 26th of March. It was released late yesterday and it is the first housing document that we have from central government directly telling us how we can handle the whole moving house process throughout this time. It's a 4-page document. I will put the link in this post here so you can see the document for yourself if you want to. It is broken down to the sort of 5 main areas of the house move. So it's got a section for the general public, a section for estate agents, one for conveyancers and solicitors, one for surveyors and one for removals. I'm going to quickly, for any of you who don't want to read it, I'm going to talk you through it. I'll paraphrase it and also sort of give you my opinion on it on the way through, section by section. If one section is more relevant to you, just fast forward or whatever else through to that. Okay, so the advice for the general public is quite a good section, and obviously we are all members of the public too, so it's a relatively good section to start with. As somewhat expected, sort of common sense dictates that where your house move, be it a home buyer or a renter, where your home move can be reasonably delayed, you should do so. Common sense, I think we all understand that if we can, we should. If you have already exchanged contracts or committed to, contractually committed to a move to an unoccupied property, that can continue, no problem at all with that. That can go ahead. Risk there is very low, obviously maintaining your social distancing throughout the process. Where you have exchanged contracts, be that as a purchase contract or a tenancy commitment into an occupied property, every effort should be made to renegotiate that date. Okay. So where at all possible, you should be able to talk to both parties. This is where agents really come into their own. You should be able to talk to both parties and renegotiate a new date ahead of or beyond this period. That's not to say that it's compulsory. So when an agreement can't be reached, either from contractual reasons or purely logistics, parties can't do it, the move still can go ahead as long as you've taken every reasonable opportunity to renegotiate the date. The move still can go ahead during this time as long as you cover a few precautions, which I'll cover down here as well with surveyors and removals. There's a few logistics associated with that. Some of you at home might be wondering, my mortgage offer might not last that long. If I delay my move for a month, my mortgage offer runs out in a week or two. How is that going to work? Well, the government has spoken to all lenders, the sort of council of lenders, and it's been agreed that any existing mortgage offer will be extended for a minimum of 3 months from now. So you don't have to worry about that. If that's a concern of yours, you don't have to worry about that one at all. So that kind of covers everybody who is in the process of moving. It's really a risk assessment process and seems relatively common sense, but now it's in a document, so we've all got something to point at. If your home isn't already on the market, then you can continue to put your house on the market. That is still an option available to you. Just need to follow some relatively sort of simple common sense stuff. You shouldn't be inviting new people into your home. Your estate agent is not part of your family group, so you should not be inviting an estate agent into an occupied property. Estate agents can visit vacant properties. That's no problem at all. It can be arranged for access, picking up a key under a doormat or whatever, and access into a vacant property. That is entirely acceptable within the rules, not outlawed at all. Just need to be careful. Really, again, risk assessment. Talk to us. There are sensible ways of to work around most of the restrictions. Not looking for any kind of loophole, just simply approaching it in a kind of risk-based assessment way. So that does work quite well. One thing is very, very explicit, is that once your property is on the market, so any of you just about to put it on or already on the market, face-to-face viewings are an absolute no-no. Now, I think we all knew this. I've had to write it down because obviously some people didn't sort of follow common sense advice. We stopped these on Monday of this week. So in anticipation of Monday night's announcement, our Monday's viewings went ahead, and then from Monday onwards it all stopped, which I think is pretty fair. It does go on to say, and actually does actually mention that agents should consider options and advise you of the options of virtual viewings. Now, this is something we've bought into on a large scale, and anticipating really what was going to happen with this, we went around and, as far as possible, pretty much all of our properties have been catalogued to be able to do virtual viewings with you. So video tours, virtual tours, those kind of things that we can talk you through over the phone and guide you through, or you can do it under your own steam. And I'm pretty sure, as far as I'm aware, right now we are the only agent on the Isle of Wight to have done that in advance, ready for it. Obviously, a lot of the agents now stuck that if you didn't do that before, you now can't enter all these occupied homes to be able to do it. So they're probably stuck there. So yeah, by all means, get in contact, and we can help you with existing ones and with future ones. It also again goes on to a section about accepting offers. I think relatively common sense that yes, of course you can do all of that. That's all done over the phone and email, and all of that can be covered quite happily. That's just negotiation. Regarding exchanging contracts, this is quite an interesting one. So it says you are perfectly entitled to continue to exchange and complete your purchase on all unoccupied properties, no problem at all. And you can exchange contracts on an occupied property so long as the contract allows for a potential delay within the contract because of this situation. So things like, your solicitor will be able to give you a definitive options that are more relevant to you, but simple sales contracts that set a long stop date for completion or earlier by agreement, those kind of contracts are entirely, as far as my interpretation of it, entirely acceptable, and in fact I hinted at that that's what you should be doing. So if you were to say exchange contracts today, ideally you want to be moving in, say, a couple of weeks, 3 weeks time, when we're hopefully outside of this initial period of lockdown. You want to be able to allow for that. What you could do is set a long stop completion date for, say, 3 months time or 6 months time, whatever it may be, a long distance in the future, and have a caveat within that contract or clause within the contract that says that you can complete sooner by mutual agreement. And then you're both exchange contracts, you're both comfortable, buyer and seller, everybody in the chain is all comfortable, and then in 3 weeks time, if the restrictions are lifted as we hope they will be, then you can all phone them and go, by agreement, we all happy, let's do it, and it can be done. If the current situation continues on for another couple of weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks after that, then you can have it at that stage. But you can exchange contracts and give yourself all a bit of comfort and security that you're not going to lose your buyer or your seller or your property, wherever it may be. So that's all good news. Just approaching that in the right way. So that kind of covers off general public advice. All right. So that's relevant to everybody. I'm now going to go into estate agency. Now, it's a relatively short section. Most of it's covered in the general public stuff, but estate agents, I know that an awful lot of estate agents, certainly across the island and across the UK, do tune into our stuff for little bits of tips and advice, and I'm more than happy to help out the community in that way. So our responsibility, first and foremost, is beyond the other stuff we've covered, is to try and broker a new date where possible on occupied homes. So we may have exchange contracts or commitments with tenancies, and our job is to, wherever possible, to try and negotiate a new date with both parties. That's just really trying to help everybody work through the whole risk assessment stuff. Makes perfect sense. We should not have open branches. I say we closed our branch on Monday. I think probably most of you have started to do the same thing. And you should not have visits to homes. That's you, us as individuals visiting people's occupied homes. We should not also be taking round other people to homes, be them occupied or unoccupied. That's relatively common sense. I think the vast majority of our industry grasped that day one and did the right thing. I have heard some crazy stories of people Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, even yesterday, still going out doing viewings. What are you doing, folks? Come on, stop it. We all want to be through this process as soon as possible and back to business as usual. You're not helping anybody by doing that. It's it's crazy. It's gonna hurt us all that way. So stop it. But well done, because almost all of you have, which is brilliant. It says we can continue to progress a sale. Obviously, that's all office based anyway, so that's nice and easy. And we were to advise clients to be patient throughout the process while negotiating exchange and completion dates. Again, that's really what we're here for, and we've got to try and encourage clients to do something which is relatively new to most people who are, people may well have bought and sold houses numerous times over the years, clients of ours, but this will be a new period of time for them. They will not necessarily understand that, one, they can still move in certain circumstances. Certain circumstances will forbid them from being able to move, and contracts will have to be different because they have to contain, and the word is, explicit terms to manage timing risks. Okay, so really just that example I talked about earlier. That covers us off as an industry, that one. Now, conveyancers, solicitors. I had lots of chats with solicitors this week about how we're going to approach this. Most have been really good, really practical, working with us. we've had completions happen today. We've had exchanges happen yesterday. It's all been really good, just working through it in a pragmatic kind of way. Some firms have gone completely the wrong way with it and run for the hills and closed their doors already because they think they can't work. Well, this kind of clears that all up. You probably jumped a bit too soon. Conveyancers should continue to support the sales process. That's the first line. So do not close your offices. By all means close your public offices, but do not, unplug the phones. You can work from home, and the first line makes it very clear that you should be supporting sales throughout this process. Your clients there, you're there to do it. Now you can continue, much like I touched on earlier, you can continue to support sales of unoccupied properties. No problem at all. Occupied properties, you should be working to be able to try and change dates if at all possible, or having to help clients manage risk where dates can't be changed. Where you have not yet exchanged contracts on an occupied property, you must make sure that your contracts contain the explicit provision to manage the risk. Again, that's the variable date to be able to adjust. Long stop seems like an obvious one to me. To me as an agent who's done this for a long period of time. You as conveyancers will know, I'm sure, better than I. That seems to be an obvious way around that one. Any unoccupied properties can be completed as normal, and just be very mindful of people who are suffering from symptoms, isolating. Those kind of people get priority status. Surveyors. And this has caused a little bit of a problem in our industry this week, with some large surveying firms jumping out a bit too soon. So we had a couple of issues this week where mortgages couldn't be granted because surveyors weren't going out to properties to be able to check, to be able to survey them. And when that happens, that obviously has a knock-on effect and a domino effect on anybody else. But we've been given some guidance on that. So, one, all non-urgent surveys where people are in residence shouldn't go ahead, and that's pretty obvious. If it's a standard thing like a remortgage, something that relatively, a private survey on somebody's existing home, anything that's sort of non-urgent and people are living in there, then they shouldn't go ahead. It also shouldn't go ahead if you, as a surveyor, or anybody within the home are showing any kind of symptoms. Again, all kind of pretty common sense stuff. Now, the guidance is pretty clear. So the guidance issued on the 26th of March states that surveyors can carry out work in people's home provided you're showing no signs of symptoms. So that's, sorry, reading my notes as I go here, that's really quite clear. It's the first bullet point on this list. If you want to try and find it for yourself, again, I'll put the link in so you can see it. They should follow guidance advice, and you can continue to work even in occupied properties, so long as you maintain your 2 meters worth of distance, you wash your hands regularly for a minimum of 20 seconds, or you sanitize a gel if soap and water is not available. They are some great options. Turn up as a surveyor with some gloves on and some hand sanitizer, staying 2 meters away from somebody who, when you're all fit and well, there's no reason why that can't. It's just basic PPE. You could do that. No problem at all. Obviously, I understand that some bigger firms are making decisions on behalf of their surveyors, but I think some of the reactions that have happened so far, I take this very, very seriously. I want this matter over as soon as possible, but I think some of the reactions have been rather knee-jerk and a bit too extreme. We all need an industry to be able to come back to after this. All right. Which brings me on to removals. No criticism, but the British Association of Removers made a statement early doors on this on Tuesday, advising all of their removal companies to stop any move that they hadn't already started. So if you were in boxes halfway in the van, you could continue. If you weren't, then you were to cancel it. That was a bit severe. So they've given, the government have given some advice to removers that you can continue to move pretty much under the same terms as surveyors, actually. So yes, if it's non-urgent, you're just helping move some stuff from one place owned by the same person to another place owned by the same person, it's probably not urgent, just moving around with their own belongings. But if it's an actual moving home and it's already been decided earlier in the process by solicitors and agents that it's something that can't be changed, so it's a sale which is proceeding, then you can continue to carry out work so long as you, your employees, and any party associated, so the home owner, the occupier, aren't showing any symptoms. You can continue with that, no problem at all. You can honour all of your existing clients and commitments. Just maintain your 2 meters safe distance wherever possible. Again, soap, water, sanitizer, that kind of thing. So generally, that's pretty good news. Generally been really pretty good. It's nice to have some clarity on it. To me, it is pretty much a document which just puts common sense on paper, but with so many different variables and this being an emotional time for people, it's great to just have it in black and white. So there you go. You've probably heard enough of my voice by now, but in sort of 15-20 minutes, that is my synopsis of where we are with government advice. Okay, speak to you soon. Cheers.